Good morning. I'm Annie Larson from Annie's Chocolates, and I was asked to talk to you guys today about chocolate making, truffles in specific. So my videographer today is Brooke Beiswinger. You may know her. She's very famous in the Fisher school system. I have the stage crew of my daughter Alice and my niece Bree, and my sidekick today is Scarlett Larson. She is in 10th grade, 5th grade. Big help with my chocolate stuff, so she's going to be helping me today demonstrate how to make cookie dough truffles. A little bit of background history. I have been making chocolates since I was 19. I went to school in Bemidji for college and worked at a chocolates place there. It's called Chocolates Plus. So she taught me the whole line of how to make truffles and fudge, carmelitas she called them, which are like turtles, and chocolate covered potato chips. So I've kind of taken that skill back with me. I did it in Harvey for years when we lived there, and then kind of took a break with it when the girls were little. So now that we're moved back to Fisher, I kind of started back up again. So if you have Facebook and want to go to my page, it's Annie's Chocolates is what I'm under. So today we're going to be making cookie dough truffles, and this is one that we've been making for a long time. It's not my original recipe, so I'm able to share it with other people because I found it off the internet. I've been doing it for years. Love the recipe, but it's not my original one, so I'm comfortable sharing it with you guys. So what we're going to do, I believe Ms. Schwartz said that you guys are going to have the recipe. I'm going to do the full recipe, but follow along with the ingredients as far as what we put in first, what we do second. So we're going to start with our butter, and it says softened butter in the recipe. Softened is when you can either leave it out on the counter, get it to room temperature so it's soft, so it's pliable when you're mixing it, or you can pop it in the microwave for like 20 seconds and it'll get softened. If it does become melted a little bit, that's fine, but just don't melt the whole thing so it's liquidy. It just turns into a big mess. So Scar, do you want to pop up the KitchenAid so we can pour in the... If you have just a bowl and a mixer, that works well. Sometimes the hand mixers, because this is such a stiff cookie dough recipe, it gets a little tough on your hand mixers, your little beaters. So I do use the KitchenAid for this cookie dough recipe. So yep, Scar's gonna pour in our softened butter. And we have half a cup of butter in ours. You're gonna use 1/4 of a cup. Half a cup is, let me get you a spatula. Half a cup is 1 stick, so a 1/4 cup is going to be half of that. Perfect. Then you just want to put the bowl off to the side and put the spatula in it. An important thing to point out is that we are very conscious of being cleanly. So Scarlett and I both washed our hands really well, making sure to get soap underneath the fingernails. Make sure that you're washing them for an extended amount of time. We disinfect the surface that we're working on. We made sure that everything is clean and put away, because even if you're making these for your family, you do want to try to be cleanly with them, cleanly with your area that you're working with. So we have the softened butter that we put in, and now we're going to have brown sugar. So we have 3/4 cup packed brown sugar. Why do they say packed? Because this sugar is very fine. You push it into your measuring cup to pack it down in there. So we have 3/4 cup packed brown sugar going in. Scarlett dumped them right on top of our mixing device here, so we're gonna put that back in.
I can't see in the bowl.
Okay, so now that we have our sugar and our butter in there, I'm just gonna lock the mixer and it's just gonna start us up. So you're gonna mix it until it's creamed. What creamed means is that it's blended together. It's not gonna be runny like a cake mix. It's gonna be creamed, so the sugar and the butter are going to bond together and just make a smooth mixture. I'm gonna crank it up one more. And a little bit higher. Shut it off. Okay, so this is, Brooke, can you see this? Are you seeing what's on there? It's starting to get this consistency of a pretty thick mixture. This is creamed, everything's brought together.
Like Play-Doh.
Kind of like Play-Doh, that's a good analogy. Okay, so we have the butter and the sugar. Next on our ingredients is going to be the flour. I have 2 cups flour, you guys will have 1 cup. So Scar's gonna put that in, and you don't wanna just dump it all in, you kinda wanna pour it. If you dump it, the whole thing just puffs up, it's a big mess everywhere. Shake it in there, good job. And then right on top of that, we're going to put the sweetened condensed milk. Sweetened condensed milk is gonna be our binder. It's going to be what keeps the cookie dough together. If you were making regular cookie dough for baking, your eggs would be the binder. Your eggs would be what would keep it all together. You'd be able to form your balls into cute little things, and then they puff right up when you bake them. So our sweetened condensed milk is going to do that. We can't use eggs because we're not cooking this. So that would just, it would cause lots of problems for salmonella and everything like that. So we're just gonna, this is what the recipe calls for. Sweetened condensed milk is basically milk that has all the water taken out of it. It's very sweet, it's very rich, and then sugar is actually used as the preservative. So what you can use, you guys are gonna be doing half of this, is what I was told, so you'll be using half the can. What can you do with the other half of the can? You can put it over ice cream, you can add it to your baking instead of milk, and it's just gonna make everything so much more rich. Put it with pancakes. You can use sweetened condensed milk for a lot of different things. Just make sure that you put it in a Tupperware or glass container and in the fridge.
Are we using all of it?
We are gonna use all of it. You can use the spatula to kind of dump the rest out. But yes, when you're done using half of the container, make sure you store it in the fridge, because otherwise it will go bad if it's left out in the air. Okay, so Scar's putting that in there. And then next on our ingredients is the vanilla. We have vanilla extract. We're using a teaspoon of this. Sometimes when I'm cooking, I'll just do, a teaspoon is a glub, a tablespoon is a dollop. So you actually say the word when you use like glove, and that's 1 teaspoon. But Scar's measuring it out for us. Go ahead and put the teaspoon over there. Okay, and then we're gonna turn it back on the machine and mix this all together. Go a little bit higher. You want to start slow to begin with, because that flour does want, the tendency is for it to poof all over the place. So if you start slow, let it blend with the sweetened condensed milk, it just kind of pulls everything in. Once it starts mixing, you can turn it up to a higher beating, and then it'll just get everything a lot more even here. You don't have to go long, we're just blending it for like a minute. That should be good.
It looks so creamy.
Okay, so there, it's like a creamy thing. Again, it looks like Play-Doh, but it has some consistency to it, so you can manipulate it a little bit. We add in the chocolate chips. We have half a cup of chocolate chips, so you can go ahead and dump those in.
We used a mini chocolate chips.
We use the mini chocolate chips. Why do we use the mini chocolate chips? Because the balls that we are forming are only going to be about 1 inch round. So the mini ones are better. They kind of give you a little flavor all over the place than to just bite into a big chip. So we're using the mini chocolate chips. I hope I specified that in your ingredients. And because these truffles are going to be, we're making them for a friend of mine, and she likes nuts, we're putting in half a cup of chopped walnuts also. So we have half a cup of chips, and you can add half a cup of walnuts if you would like. Now go ahead and dump the whole thing in.
Oh, it says half a cup.
Yep, it does say half a cup on this bag. If you get the walnuts that are not chopped and you need to chop them, you can either use like a coffee grinder to do that. Those chop up really well in the coffee grinder. You can also keep them in the bag and use a rolling pin and just kind of bounce the rolling pin back and forth on the bag, and it'll crush them up really nice for you. So Scar, you can go ahead and turn that back on. We're gonna blend those. And this is where you can hear the machine, it's working a little bit harder. It's got a lot more stuff in there. It's getting kind of full and tough to handle. So this is why a hand beater is gonna be a little bit more tough with it and why we use a big machine. Go ahead, a little higher. Okay. Okay, so we have our batter, and now what we're going to do is we are going to transfer, one second please Scarlett, we are going to transfer our cookie dough into a container and then put it in the fridge. We're going to leave it in the fridge for about an hour so it becomes more firm, which makes it a little bit easier to form our balls that we're going to be dipping in chocolate. Okay, so Scar, do you want to pop that off? Good deal. Scrape the sides while you're transferring it in there.
Now it looks like Play-Doh with like, I don't know, like little,
Like when you add in the beads and stuff like
Yeah.
that. She said it looks like Play-Doh when you add in those little beads, decorative beads.
but really not decorative. They're just like brown and black and
So these truffles are really a crowd favorite. The kids really like them. Adults like them. They're easy to make. So yeah, this is something that you guys can definitely do. Maybe make it part of your Christmas tradition or something. So once she's done with this, we're gonna put the cover on it. And the reason we put a cover on it, or you can use plastic wrap, tin foil, you can cover it with a towel when we put it in there, is so it doesn't dry out. You want it to firm up, but you don't want it to get crusty and dried out. So we're just putting a cover on ours. Again, had I put it right in the mixer and put it in the fridge, I would have just put saran wrap over it or something. Okay, so we will see you guys back. This was video 1, and we will see you in about an hour. Thank you.